Hi, everyone, all around the world. I want to welcome you to the first episode of year 3 of the Poetry of Healing show. I'm saying that, I can't even believe it. And the way I have started each season, and it's no different this time, is to have my pastor, Bishop Keith Clark, as the first guest of the season. So before we bring him in, we're going to do just a little centering so that we can be present for the topic of the it factor. So you're going to find out what the it factor is and how it will change your life. So I invite you just to lower your gaze. We're going to take about just one moment, and we're going to use breathing and our hearts to kind of settle us and just bring peace to the time we have together. So if you lower your gaze or close your eyes if it's comfortable for you, and I'm going to guide you to breathe through your nose and then out through your mouth slowly, and being very conscious of the inhale and the exhale, and then focusing on that beautiful heart of yours. So I invite you just listen to my voice, and let's do 3 breaths together. So breathe in slowly through your nose and imagine your heart taking the breath. Okay, your heart is expanding as you breathe in through your nose. And then as you breathe out through your mouth, your heart is contracting. Okay, let's try it again. In through your nose, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and your heart is big now. And then out through your mouth, your heart is contracting and you're blowing like you're blowing out a candle. And then one more time, in through your nose, a deep breath, the deepest breath that you can take. And then that heart is going to contract as you exhale through your mouth. And I'd like to notice what's going on outside the space where you are. So do you hear cars driving by? Do you hear people talking? Maybe you're in a room and there are others outside the room. I'd like to notice now, just take a sense. What do you hear? What do you feel in the place where you're sitting or laying right now? Okay. Is it warm? Is it humid, or is it chilly? And you're wrapped up to keep yourself warm. And then lastly, as you take another deep breath, I'd just like you to scan your body. And if there's any place in your body that's tense or have pain, just send a little breath into it. So focus on it, breathe in and out. Or if there's any tenseness, maybe in your tummy, just breathe, focus on that area, breathe in and out. And lastly, I'd like you to take a nice deep breath and enter this session, because you are just in time to meet my pastor, the pastor of the whole Bay Area, through his word of the day, Bishop Keith L. Clark. Bishop Clark, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're doing this a 3rd year in a row.
3rd year. 3 years already. Wow, time passes by fast.
Well, I completed 2 years, and this is the beginning of the 3rd year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to say 3 years. Okay, I had that wrong. All right.
Yeah, no. But it's your 3rd time you're beginning the season. And every season has been incredible. I suggest to the viewers that you look at the last show. Ellis Dean, he was my guest host, and he interviewed me about what happened during year 2. And it's a really exciting and unexpected conversation. So check that out. But today we're here with Bishop Clark, and we're going to talk about the it factor.
Mhm.
Bishop, tell us, what is the it factor
Well, it's
about it?
congratulations again on this beginning of the third season, and I am sure I voice the sentiments of all of your viewers. Thank you so much
Mhm.
for entering into our space with this positivity and this healing. Every time you do that breathing thing, I got to catch myself because I won't drift off into a nap. I promise you. And I think Arnold said, we were laughing about that one time. So
Mhm.
thank you for the warmth of your spirit and the joy that you bring. I am excited, as always, to have this opportunity on your platform to share things that I have seen work in my life in tremendous ways, such as the case with the IT factor. IT stands for intentional thankfulness. I believe, Dr. Van, that if human beings can choose to be thankful regardless of what's going on around, if we can find the space and the energy to be thankful, I think it changes our moods and I think it changes our movements. Because here's what I've discovered, that a thankful mind is always making situations better. So the it factor has been amazing. Of course, in the ministry aspect, we've been dealing with it throughout the holiday season. And I've literally had inboxes, emails of people who have seen in very real time. I mean, one sister in particular mentioned how she began to just say, "Thank you, Lord Jesus," which is our profession of faith, way of saying thankfulness. And
Mhm.
she found herself saying that throughout the day. And she found that every conversation she had, all of them were productive, where she was normally in a workspace that was kind of hostile, but just having a thankful attitude has changed the atmosphere in her workplace. And that's one of many testimonies that we've gotten since we started this series.
Mhm. Mhm. So thank you for letting us know what the it factor is, because I'm sure the viewers, I've been publicizing you are coming to talk about the it factor. It's a
Mhm,
game changer, and we're going to dig deeper into
mhm,
that.
mhm,
I just wanted to share with you, and you may remember this, that my very first show that I did solo, it was about gratitude. So this is a full circle.
mhm,
So
mhm,
if you might, I'm going to
mhm,
say a couple things. And
mhm,
so Bishop and I are Christians, and so our Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ. You may have another belief, and so anytime we talk about our Savior,
mhm,
please feel free to substitute it with whomever you believe
mhm.
in, and it could be nature. It doesn't matter your belief, because we all have beliefs and we value all beliefs. So I just wanted to let the viewers know that. Also, if you could just give us, I don't want to say a technical definition,
Mhm.
but a living definition of what it is to be grateful, right?
You- it's it's very, and this is the best way it comes to mind. It's
Mhm,
simply said, but some things that are said easily
mhm.
are it takes some effort to do it.
Yeah.
But the it factor, this intentional thankfulness, gratitude, as you stated, is realizing that being positive, being pleasant, being grateful and appreciative, those are choices we have to make. Somewhere down the line, Dr. Van, we fell into this trap of thinking that negativity and those bad emotions are things we had to participate in. Though they can be acknowledged,
Mhm.
our attention does not have to feed them. And so this gratitude, this intentional thankfulness, this it factor is simply choosing to be thankful. And when you pause and look at whatever it is you're going through, No matter what the circumstances, there is something in that circumstance, that situation, that you can be thankful for. If it's no more than the fact that you are alive. Now think about that. Regardless of what you're going through, and sometimes we can go through some stuff that is hideous, heartbreaking, cause a lot of hardship. In the midst of even moments like that, the very fact that you are alive means there's possibility for change. And if you can center your mind and be thankful and grateful that even in the midst of this bad moment, I am alive, which means that this bad moment does not have to become a bad day, because I'm choosing to be thankful. I'm choosing to be grateful. And I think when we find that place and when we're conscious of that, again, I think it changes the game in our lives.
Absolutely. So as I listen to you talk about it, being thankful is a practice.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. It
Mhm.
does not. And it's a practice. Now here's the catcher. It's a practice that has to be done regardless of how we're feeling. That's why I want viewers to understand that it's a choice, right? So here it is. You're feeling this emotion, let's say, of sadness.
Mhm.
I apologize. You're feeling
That's
this
okay.
emotion of sadness.
Mhm.
And in the midst of you feeling this emotion of sadness, you can choose, am I going to stay here?
Mhm.
Or am I going to allow my mind to think maybe about the last time I was sad and that moment passed, something happened, a word came, an inspirational thought. And if you can reflect on the fact that you were sad and got glad, then in this present time of sadness, you can do the same,
Mhm.
because feelings are never dictators. They're only indicators. I'll say it
Say,
again.
say more about that.
Feelings are not dictators, meaning because I feel some a way at a moment does not mean that feeling has to dominate me. And a lot of times we allow our feelings to drive our choices,
Mhm.
when in actuality, our choices ought to drive our feelings. DB Bradford, the EI guy, we call him here in the Bay, makes mention that how when our emotions are high, our logics are low. Our logic is low.
Mhm.
But that's a choice we make.
Mhm.
That's not something that has to be. And I think when we understand that feelings are just indicators, not dictators, feelings is pointing to something.
Mhm.
It's not telling me to go that way,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's pointing, it's not pushing. I still have a choice.
Mhm. Mhm. And because it's a practice, we have to do it often, because if not, it doesn't become part of our natural response.
Mhm.
And I say response, not react. It doesn't become part of our natural response, as
Mhm.
you said, to be kind,
Mhm.
to be gentle.
Mhm.
Um, and so you began talking about the benefits of being thankful. Oh,
Mhm.
I want to say one other thing. And besides being a practice, being thankful is also something that affects us physiologically, right? It
Exactly right.
affects our brain.
That's exactly right.
And
That's
so
exactly.
you want to say something about that?
I think you're right. And one of the things I would point out to the viewers
Hmm.
that you mentioned that is that human beings are a tripod construction. We are physical, we are soul or psychological, and then we are spiritual.
Hmm.
When you and I choose to be thankful, here's what's literally happening. Our spirit is being energized to dominate the choices in our mind that now is controlling the movement of our bodies. Our bodies, there's certain things as reflex, of course, but when it comes down to how we operate in the moments and the emotions we're feeling, again, that's a choice. So when my spirit is lifted and doing the exercise that you're doing, all of that kind of focus and centers you. And if you can stay in that space spiritually, then your mind flows freely. People who are thankful, and you don't have to be any person of any major religion.
Mhm.
You, as my grandma would say, just the old common Joe would understand. People who are thankful are the best people to be around. A person who is grateful
Mhm.
has the most pleasant spirit. And here's what I realized, that even in those moments where we want to give into the feeling opposite of grateful and thankfulness, even when we don't want to be that way, we
Mhm.
always want to be around people who are that, right? So
Yeah.
this practice, and I think it takes a habit to break a habit. And so what we started doing with the it factor is that we started encouraging parishioners and having parishioners encourage their family and friends that just throughout the day,
Mhm.
say thank you.
Mhm.
Throughout the day, just get in the habit of saying it. And people have been coming back, Dr. Van, with testimonies that have just really been encouraging. So
Mhm.
I agree with you. A thankful attitude, gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, intentionally thankful, impacts every aspect of our human experience.
And beginning with the brain. When you are thankful, see, you broke it down and made it real. I'm going to go, the viewers know I insert a little science here, that when you are thankful, it changes your brain. There are neurotransmitters in your brain
Hmm.
that become more active, like dopamine, and those are feel good transmitters. So just being thankful, just thinking and being thankful will
Mm-hmm.
change your mood. So let's talk about some other benefits. Let's drop into relationships. What does being thankful do to your relationships?
Listen, being thankful will add, and you know, Dr. Van,
Mhm.
my wife, Lady D, a specialist in New Orleans cuisine.
Mm,
So those of you who
say it.
don't know anything about New Orleans cuisine, you know that it's the seasoning that makes the dish.
Mhm.
A thankful attitude puts the right kind of season in your relationship.
Oh.
It's much happier in the Clark home during this holiday season because
Mhm.
everybody's adapting the mindset of thankfulness. And so, yes, it does. You know, one of the things I've discovered in a very practical way, that thankfulness in relationships is a breeding ground for more compliments.
Mhm.
And wherever there are compliments, there's always going to be connection.
Oh,
You think about it.
yeah.
You love to be around somebody who's going to compliment you. And when you are thankful, it breeds the ground for compliments. And I think that's one of the ways, in a very practical way, I would say to the viewers, try it. You and your significant other. And if, you know, if that's a family, and then try, it's hard to get teenagers to do stuff. So, and may that be another show, how to get teens to participate. But take your significant other and you all just agree for 24 hours that we are not going to complain. We're just going to compliment
Mhm.
and watch the atmosphere and the energy that's in that home or in that space where you are.
Mhm. Mhm. I call it a oh, what is it? Complaint-free day. That's
Complaint
what I
free
call
day.
it. Just just choose a day.
Mhm.
Once, we're not even going to say once a week. Let's start with once a month. Just have a complaint-free day and
Mhm.
watch it change the energy and the people around you.
Yes,
Because being thankful is contagious.
it is. It is. It is very much so.
Mhm.
It is. It is. And you know, one of the things that the complimenting does is that complimenting allows your partner to see how significant they are to you. Because a lot of things in relationships we show, but we don't say, right? Man asks his wife, say, honey, do you love me? Why are you asking me that? Of course I love you. Don't you see I do this and I do this and I do that? And the truth of the matter, she does. She shows it, but she doesn't say it. And of course, vice versa. But when you are complimenting, when you've got this thankful attitude, it allows all of those things. And I've seen in my life personally stuff that I've prayed about for my relationship. And I mean prayed heavily and often about. It's when I became to share in this speaking and declaring that she was special and how I appreciate it, changes the atmosphere. Complimenting changes the atmosphere, but it's the result of being thankful.
And I talk to the viewers about how we create the energy around us. So we're all energy, and we have this energy field. That's why I had us breathe with our heart, because we have an energy field that goes at least 3 feet all the way around us. And in that energy field is the energy coming from your heart. So if you are grateful, that energy is going to be emitted to the person in your space. Now, we're virtual, right? But there's something about because of the pandemic and our high use of virtual platforms, I think we're getting better at feeling what's coming from the heart. At least that's been my experience. And so you want to keep thankfulness in your heart, because it's going to communicate, even though it's better to say it. You have this help from your heart that's communicating that. And on the reverse side, if your heart is not thankful, if you're complaining or have another mood that's not enriching the other person, they're going to feel that too. So that's why being thankful is a practice. Changes the way our brain is operating. It changes us physiologically. It changes our relationships. And what about, Bishop, just looking at the individual? I think, and it's just not my thoughts, because the research says that when you're thankful, you're more open, you're more agreeable. That's why those complaint-free days are important. And then you're more satisfied with your life. But I recently read, Bishop Clark, that you live longer if you practice thankfulness.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, because thankfulness is definitely, when you're practicing that, you're somebody who's managing stress better. Right? Now, the preacher in me likes to keep the alliteration going. So there are no complaints, but compliments. When you're thankful, it causes you to be more complimented, more complimentive than you are complaining. Now, you just bought something out that I'd like to put another C on it. When you're thankful, you're confident. And when you are confident, come on, those who are watching, when you are really feeling good about yourself, what is it you can accomplish? And when you're thankful, you feel good about yourself. It is amazing. It is amazing. It impacts every area of your life. It kills the friction. My brother shared something with me when he was going through his battle with prostate cancer. He said his physician told him, he said, Mr. Clark, a lot of people are dealing with sickness that, if had been addressed early, of course, they would have, better response to medicines and what have you. He says, but a lot of it stems from people not dealing with stress properly. And what we're talking about now is folk choosing to be thankful And practicing this
Mhm.
is adding to your life, bettering your relationships, giving you more confidence. Oh, yeah, it's a must. We must be thankful.
And thankful, you hit on it a little earlier, but let me just reset here for viewers who have just joined us. You're joining us for the first episode of year 3 of the Poetry of Healing. And in year 1 and 2, at the beginning, I had my pastor, Bishop Keith Clark, as the first guest on the show. And I'm doing it again this year. And I hope every year after, to set the tone for the year. And this episode, we're talking about the it factor, intentionally thankful. And we've talked about what being thankful is and the benefits of being thankful. And so, right now, Bishop Clark, can you connect being thankful? Would you connect being thankful with forgiveness?
Oh, wow. Yes. Again, I think in every situation, there is a reason for thankfulness. That's what I believe as a believer. That's what I've experienced in my own life within these last months, practicing this it factor. And let me just say that before I answer that question, Dr. Van.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm sharing with you is not something I've mastered, but it's something that I'm learning to manage. I have my moments when what's going on, I don't want to be thankful. But it's in those moments I find out that when I choose to be thankful, I can deal with those moments a whole lot better. So I just want to get that disclaimer out, because sometimes people think the teacher is the master because he's communicating or she's communicating it. We have to work on living this stuff too, particularly around the area of forgiveness. What I've discovered is that when I am thankful and someone has offended me, my thankfulness allows me to view the pain as fuel for me to be more productive, as opposed to taking the pain or allowing the pain to hold me hostage. Here's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
If someone has offended me, even in that moment, I can be thankful, not because of what they did to me, but because of what they did. What they did not happen, or what they did not cause to happen in my life. Let me say it another way. You hurt me, but when I'm thankful, I realize your hurt did not destroy me. When I'm thankful, yes, what you did was wrong, but I'm thankful because in spite of your plan, in spite of your intention, I am still here alive. I've learned better. I know now how to deal with that individual. I know what space and place to have you in life. If I have to have you in, all of those things happen when I'm thankful. And those things help me to forgive quicker. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so this attitude of gratitude, this it factor, allows me to have the power to do what's best for myself. It is not this, oh, well, you putting your head in the sand and ignoring the realities of life. No, thankfulness does not divorce me from reality. My thankfulness helps me change my reality.
Say that again, please.
Thankfulness does not divorce me from my reality. Thankfulness allows me to change my reality. My reality is that you did something to me that hurt me. You said something to me that was unfair, that was not right, and that crushed me. But in the midst of me feeling that pain, I am still thankful. Why? Because I recognize that what you meant for evil, God's going to make it for my good. I realize that though your words were damaging, they did not destroy me. And I'll come back having learned the lesson from this experience and my relationship with other people. And my relationship with that individual will be a whole lot different. So I'm thankful. I didn't like the class, but I'm thankful for the lesson.
Bishop Clark, so you just need to write a book with all these sayings, because every one of them hits home in a way that enriches and explains and helps us. But I'm going to give you another one.
Okay.
Being thankful in the midst of a romantic breakup or a divorce. Talk about that.
All right. I love this. Trust me. Because this is how my mind works. When I'm studying this it factor, Doc, I'm saying, okay, God, how can I be thankful when I'm going through some stuff that's just really problematic, such as a breakup or a divorce? And here's the answer. I can be thankful even when I'm going through the divorce, because in every separation, there's revelation. Whenever something divides, you get to see inside of it. You take a piece of wood, you get to see inside of it. And so when there's divorce, people are broken. Now you get to see some things about yourself, right? And even what you see about yourself, even if it's hard to face, you're thankful because now you know what you have to face, right? You get to see something about the other individual. And though it may be painful, you know how to deal with it. So in the midst of the separation, the divorce, the breakup, you're thankful for the things you've learned. Imagine being in a relationship with someone and getting to a point where things have been invested in, and living with someone who you really never knew. And then a circumstance that arises and the real them shows up, or a part of them that you've never seen. Wow. That's a blessing. Where's it a blessing? Because now you know. Listen, thankfulness does not mean, again, life will be easy. Well, let me say it this way. Thankfulness does not mean you won't have trouble, but thankfulness will keep trouble from having you. Right? The scriptures, James, who was a brother of Jesus Christ, is writing a letter to some believers, and he says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation, when you fall in all kind of adversities. Why? Because out of this a better you emerges. So I can be thankful because even in the midst of the divorce or the heartbreak, I'm coming out better. And I'm sharing with people something now that I'd like to share with your viewers.
Okay.
Define what a winner is differently. A winner is someone who comes out of something better than they were when they went in. And so if you perhaps now are dealing with a divorce or some kind of heartbreak, understand that you can be thankful, because when your heart heals, and it will heal, and you can thank God for that, because it's going to happen. It's going to heal. It's going to heal. When it heals, you're going to come out better. That's why I share with people, when you're going through stuff, don't lose your mind, and thankfulness helps you keep your mind together, because you're going to need your mind. You're going to need your mind for the next relationship. You're going to need your mind for the next job. You're going to need thankfulness keeps you together in the midst of that. So you're thankful because of what you're going to learn about yourself, about that person. You're thankful because you're going to come out better out of after this situation passes. You're going to heal. But then, and I think it's not just in any kind of separation, you can be thankful because you are never alone, even when you feel lonely. That's the beautiful thing, and respects to all faith. But one of the things I love about Christ and in the Christ of scriptures, not a lot of this religious man-made stuff, is that there is an assurity and a certainty that I have that I will always have his presence. So even when I feel lonely, I'm not alone, and I can be thankful. It is, I don't know, it's almost, I feel like I found the fountain of youth with this it factor.
Oh, thankfulness will do that. Thankfulness help you live longer, feel more energized, and more youthful.
And it's amazing when you look at the culture in which we live in, everything, and that's one of the things I appreciate about your show and what you're doing here, Doc, is because most places we turn to, it's not about healing, thankfulness, and gratitude. It's bad news. Right? So you're bombarded with all of this bad news. And then people who are always hearing bad news are people who always have bad conversations. So you've got bad news, bad conversations. Now, if you're always around that, and if that's what you're constantly taking in, it's going to be much easier for you to succumb to that kind of thinking and processing. But if you adapt this it factor, and you decide that I am going to be, watch it now, intentional thankful, intentionally thankful, which means, as you said, I'm going to practice it on purpose. And if I do that, then it's going to change. Because, you know, negativity cannot live where there's positivity as it relates to people's interaction. It just, it can't happen.
My daughter, Angelica, and I often talk about her on the show. Viewers, I'm married now, but there was a 17-year period where I was single and dating. And I was in this 5-year relationship that I thought was all that, okay? We traveled the world. We got along together very well. And then I found out something. I thought I knew him. And then I found out something that proved to me that I didn't know him. And my daughter said to me, she said, "Mom, you dodged a bullet." And just her saying that changed it just got me into being thankful. And I thanked him for showing me who he is. I didn't say it's bad or good. I just thanked him for showing me who he is, because that's not the life I wanted. And I'm thankful because it made room for me to find someone, or to be drawn to someone, to allow someone else into my life that was good for me, good to me, and we're good for each other. You know, another area is, how can one be thankful when they're facing an illness, their health has been attacked, or the health of a loved one has been attacked?
I think when it comes down to the healing, and I think it's possible, I think when it comes down to the healing, it's necessary for the person who's experiencing that particular condition to understand, and this is personal because this is my premise, my catalyst for life, and that's the scriptures. I'm thankful even when my body's unhealthy, because I've got a God who can heal. Now, understanding that healing biblically happens in one of two ways. Miraculously, we see that, right? But then through medicine. I believe that whatever ails the body, there is treatment that's provided for it. So the thankfulness is that there is something I can do concerning this ailment. I can take the medicine. And when the meds don't work,
Mhm.
I can still be thankful because I know my life is in the hands of the maker.
Mhm.
So I got the meds I can count on, who God gave scientists and doctors the know-how to
Mhm.
treat the body, and nutritionists and all of that kind of stuff. So meds just not what we put in the bottle, it's the food we eat, all of that kind of stuff. So the meds the creator gave us. But then when that doesn't work, then the maker, God himself, I believe, can
Mhm.
heal me. Now, that healing may not be what I would want to happen, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes the healing process that we go through as believers is ultimately going to be with him. And so the thankfulness is that regardless of what condition my body is in, my body is at his disposal. So he can treat my body through the meds. He
Mhm.
can treat my body, heal my body through the meds by way of a miracle. Or he can decide, you know what? You've lived long enough in this house.
Mhm.
I'm going to bring you home to me.
Mhm.
Either way, I win.
Mhm. Mhm.
If the meds make me better, thank
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
If he miraculously heals me, thank you.
Thank you.
If the damage on this body is just too far spent and he receives my life to him, thank you.
And as you're going through it, if you're surrounded by love, you
Mm-hmm.
say thank you because love is healing as well. That reminds me of when my mother passed away over 2 decades ago of ovarian cancer, and it wasn't diagnosed until really late stage. And she went through chemo. She wasn't ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Very spiritual, religious believer, but she wasn't ready to go yet. And every day she would say to me, I'm going to be healed. And it wasn't until a long time after her death that I realized her healing in her mind was going home,
Mm-hmm.
going home to her creator. And so, yeah, that's just an example I wanted to share. Well, I am sure we've kind of dibble and dabbled on how does one become more thankful. And so I'm going to share one of the things, Bishop, you already talked about letting people know
Mm-hmm.
that you appreciate them. And I just want to include that be specific.
Mm-hmm.
And so when, say, I say to my husband, thank you for hugging me when I've had such a stressful day and I don't know what else to do. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for bringing dinner home when you know that I'm just too tired to cook. Thank you for taking a walk or going to do something with your buddies when I need quiet time. You see, so okay, I went there, Bishop. Yeah. So, but it's real.
Yeah.
But other thing is that when we write
Mm-hmm.
or type out what we're uh, grateful or thankful for, that kind of puts it to another level. And so I wanted to share with the viewers, I do a grateful journal. And what I do in the morning, so you can write it, and you don't have to have a special book and you write it on a piece of paper, write it on a sticky. But in the morning, I write 3 things that I am grateful for before they happen. So
Mm-hmm.
in the word, there's something act as if it has already.
Mm-hmm.
What's the? I can't remember
Well,
how it goes.
there are several passages that
Mhm.
speak to that, but what you're essentially saying is that if you're believing something to happen, that you don't have to wait for it to happen, you can be thankful now. It's almost like I heard one preacher say, God's credit ought to be good with you,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
right? You're speaking those things that are not as though they were. That's
Yes,
the path. Yeah.
that's the
Oh,
passage. I
yeah.
can never remember it verbatim, but you're setting another way of saying it. You're setting the intention for the day,
Yes.
even though you don't know if it's going to happen. You're going to say, "I'm believing this." So you write 3 things down. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about your handwriting. Don't. just write it out.
Hmm.
And then in the evening before you go to bed or as you are winding down, write about 3 things that you're grateful for that day that did happen.
Hmm.
And so it doesn't have to be big things, it can be little things.
Hmm.
You know, I'm just happy that I was able to take a walk um, this morning and I just feel so much energized. Or I'm happy I didn't have that second or third cookie. I really wanted it, but I didn't have it, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to show the viewers, I took a copy of one of the pages from my journal, and so when I write, I'm very personal in my journal. But
Mhm.
this is from 2020. This is the latest slide I have. But as you can see on the left-hand side,
Mhm.
I'm writing about things that I am saying I'm grateful they haven't happened yet, but I
Mhm.
am grateful for them. And so I can say, um, the very top left, I am truly grateful for family unification and healing. So there was something going on
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that time,
Yeah.
but I said I am grateful that it's going to be,
Hmm.
resolved.
Hmm.
Um, it was also around our first anniversary, and so I wrote on the right hand side on Valentine's Day, I am truly grateful for wedding anniversary celebration, which strengthens our connection as a loving, compassionate, committed, and happy couple. So that's what I was grateful for. That had already happened that day. But I enlarged one of them, and that's on what I wanted to happen. And this is from our other home. And I wrote, I am truly grateful that we are decluttering the evergreen home. So I got real that day. I needed to fix some things in the house. And I did do it that day too. So this is just an example of some things that I write. And I'm going to open my grateful journal just randomly and see if there's something I can read, because this is very personal.
Mhm.
That okay, so just last month I wrote, I thank God for my workout at the gym. Okay, I haven't gone to the gym yet, but I'm thanking him, right? That I'm gonna go. Okay, let's see what else, and then oh, okay. Um, so I had a procedure that day, and I just said, I thank God for the healing of my procedures and the decreased swelling. It must have been in my knee. But so you see, that's an example of one of the ways you can be thankful. So, Bishop, did you want to add anything else or say anything about keeping a thankful journal?
I know. I think it's good. I have a prayer list, but I think I need to add that thankfulness. Normally, I would have requests, and once they're answered, I go from request to praise report. Right. So
Mhm.
I'm asking God for something, and when He answers it, I put it in that column. But I like that. I think it's another aid that helps us to stay conscious of
Mhm.
being thankful. You
Mhm.
mentioned something earlier that I did want to say something about in terms of being specific in telling, and you used the example of Arnold telling people why you're thankful. What
Mhm.
I've discovered is that whatever is rewarded, and sometimes the recognition of something is the reward of it, right?
Mhm.
Somebody does something and you recognize them. Sometimes you're recognizing them as the reward. Whatever's rewarded will be repeated.
Mhm.
Whatever's rewarded will be repeated. So we get in the habit of telling people, especially those we live with,
Mhm.
what we're thankful for about them, then I think we'll see more of that done.
Well, another thought came to my mind. I do not like taking out the trash. I do not like taking out the garbage. And so every time Arnold does it, I say, thank you. I mean, I put a lot on it. I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now, I mean, after 5 years, now he's taking
It
out
didn't take 5 years. I'm sure it did. I'm sure you got
well,
probably
I'm
had
just
to brush it off.
recognizing it. Okay. I'm just recognizing it that his attitude about taking out the garbage is a lot different. I mean, he joyfully takes out the garbage and he takes it out before it's full. So
Mhm.
I am, so you're right. It's you reinforce behavior. You uh, you reinforce the behavior, but you also increase the sense of satisfaction in others when you acknowledge, what they
Mhm.
do.
Yep.
And so there are other ways of being thankful, just being kind,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
If someone, tries to go left on you, you don't have to go left.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You you can be kind.
Exactly right. Anybody, I like to tell people, anybody who does not like you, you do not have to return that favor.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
you you don't have to. And again, it goes back to this choice. When we realize that certain behaviors and certain responses or reactions, well, all of it for the most part, when we realize that it's optional and it's not an obligation,
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the most freeing things when I realized that there's some stuff I wanted to do, I didn't have to do. Because sometimes we think we have to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got to let you know who you messing with. I'm the wrong one. We go through all of those scenarios.
I'm not the one, right?
Yeah,
That's
no,
a
not
favorite.
I ain't the one. No, no. Yeah, I told uh, somebody one time in counseling. He said, "Well, I just had to give him a piece of my mind." I said, "Maybe that's the problem. You've given too many pieces of your mind away.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've given pieces of your mind away, your mind will never be at peace." Right? And we know there's a difference in how peace is spelled. You got peace
Mm-hmm.
and then you have peace. And I think this it factor, this gratitude helps with that in a very real, practical way. Some things we learn that are helpful. There is so much that goes to putting that into practice.
Mm-hmm.
But being thankful is a whole lot easier than we would want. We make it out to be. We
Mm-hmm.
make it out to be difficult. It's extremely easy. It really is. And the more you get in the habit of it, the better outlook on life becomes.
Mm-hmm. And there's other things that you can do, just simple,
Mhm.
just savoring this little moments
Mhm.
that can make you thankful, the little things, because we're rushing around all the time and we'll come to the end of a day and we think, what was good today? And I think you have to ask yourself intentionally, what am I grateful for today? That's the evening
Mhm.
journaling.
Mhm.
What is it? And it can be simple as someone held the door open for me.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be someone showed you some kindness.
Mhm.
So, Bishop, you and I, anytime we have a conversation, we just can go on and
Oh, I love
on
it.
and
I love it.
on.
I love it.
And I always say we need 2 hours for when you come on this show. But what is it? Is there anything? I'm going to read one of my poems on being grateful. Is there anything else that you would like to share that our viewers can take with them so that they can strengthen their thankful muscle? See it in a way that they feel it's achievable, that yeah, I can do this is not something out of my reach. So what would you say to our viewers?
I would let me say two things. Number one, do your best to stay in the moment
Mhm.
because there's so much to be thankful about just being in the moment.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's challenging because we're so busy. Sometimes I think we have to slow down to live
Mhm. Mhm.
and being in the moment. The other thing I would say to the viewers is do yourself a favor and engage in activities that inspire you. One in particular is this show, Dr. Van, and I encourage you to continue to do this. We need this on so many levels.
Thank you.
We need it even when we don't think we need it.
Mhm.
And for you, and I know it ain't always to show up in that space and to be in this mindset and the right tone of
Yeah.
voice.
Mhm.
That in and of itself is work. But
Mhm.
I'm grateful for you. And I would say to viewers, continue to engage in stuff like this
Mhm.
because it helps you. You know, we talk a lot about self-care. You got to take care of yourself. And some people uh, will have a tendency to think that uh, self-care is limited to going places.
Mhm.
But self-care is something you should do every day. I define it this way, that self-care is you doing what you have to do for you so you can do what you have to do.
Oh, okay. So that's another show. See, I'm keeping a list here of what I need to bring you back to talk
Yeah.
about. I just want to say, Bishop Clark, thank you, thank you, thank you for being my spiritual leader, my shepherd, and for changing my life. And I want to do a show on that because then we're going to really become real on that as well. But you do it for so many people, and I am thankful for you. I'm just going to close us out. I was going to do some affirmations, but I'm going to close us out and just read this poem in my book, Regala Healing, on page 87. And it's entitled, I Am Grateful. I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful it's going my way. I'm grateful to show compassion. I'm grateful it's my passion. I'm grateful for life itself. I'm grateful for every test. I'm grateful for the little things. I'm grateful they make my spirit sing. I'm grateful for blessings. I'm grateful they bring lessons. I'm grateful for this heart of mine. I'm just truly grateful all the time. And so I'm hoping that today, as you spent this just about an hour with us, that you will embrace being thankful, being grateful for all the reasons we discussed. And I invite you to join me every first and third Sunday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, right here on blackdoctor.org. Like and share and tag others so that they can get this important message about the it factor and the wisdom from Bishop Keith Clark during this session. And Bishop, just sign us off, okay? Anything you want to do.
I would say be thankful, be thankful. And if you need help being thankful, take a moment and THINK about all of your blessings and all of the things you've come through, all of the things you've accomplished, all of the things you've survived. And when you THINK, it's easier for you to THANK. God bless you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to share with you that how to get my book. It's now in 4 libraries, 3 in California, and these are the call numbers. And you can request them for 3 of the 4 libraries. At DePaul University in Chicago, it's in a special collection, so you can only go there and see it. And then you can also get my book, and I'll just leave this up and until I see